Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Ham and Spam Retro Review, the podcast where we like to review retro games, movies, TV shows, and everything in between.
Check us out on all the social medias, including Twitter, where you can find us at Ham and Spam Games, Instagram, which is also at Ham and Spam Games, Facebook at Ham and Spam, and even YouTube. Just search Ham and Spam Retro Review. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy.
All right. I turned the recorder on as you requested.
Welcome back to the Ham and Spam Retro Review, where we review retro games and movies and other things and things that aren't retro that kind of have a retro sense. And what else have we done? And talk about stuff
Yeah. The modern movies.
that have a retro sense. I don't know.
Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah. Love that movie, by the way.
Yeah.
It's great. Episode 3. We are back in the luscious Ham and Spam studio.
I'm back.
And Hammy's back.
By the way, thank you, Charles, for filling in on such short notice.
And a great episode, by the way.
Absolutely.
I thought he did a fantastic job. We'll have to have Charles back on.
I could replace both of us.
Probably could. Charles is a very, very bright guy.
He's got a very good voice for like radio and podcasting, I think.
Yeah, we've got the face for it though, so
We've got the stomach for it.
That as well. Speaking of stomachs, tonight's dinner was great.
Yeah,
I loved it. And then the dessert was good too.
Mm-hmm.
We're just gonna leave it at that. We're not gonna tell what we did or what we had.
A Reese's Blast from Sonic for dessert.
I had a
no short of 4,000 calories.
Yeah, absolutely. But gosh, it was good though, wasn't it?
It was, but I can't do that very often. I'll die.
Pass out from caloric intake. So we're back and we're gonna do episode 3 now. Hammy, you care to tell the fans, the nation, the Ham and Spam faithful,
all 12 of our listeners?
Yeah.
Turok 2 Seeds of Evil.
So last season we decided to do the original Turok. You had played a lot of Turok on N64. There is an updated version, a remastered, if you will, of that game on
all the consoles and PC.
Yeah, we played it on the Xbox One before Caitlin stole it and put it in her room. We played it back here in the studio. But when we purchased that, or whenever I purchased that, there was also Turok 2. So we said, "Hey, put this in the book. We're going to look at doing this in a future episode." And well, now it's the lousy stinking present. We're going to do this. We're going to do this episode. So, starting right off, this was a game.
Yeah, it was.
It's a game for the Nintendo 64. First came out in 1998. Obviously, it's the sequel to the previously stated Turok Dinosaur Hunter.
You know what's funny is this game. Well, I mean, I don't want to say funny. I guess it's funny looking back at it, but it was considered groundbreaking for its time. And it was considered GoldenEye level.
And when we were playing it earlier, we did play the remastered version. But when we were playing it earlier, there was a lot of similarities to current FPSs that we kept making. We want to get there and bring that up.
A lot of Halo.
A lot of Halo. A little bit of Doom too. I felt like. Do you want to scoot that microphone because you keep leaning forward just to talk?
No, I'm all right. I'll be fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah. No, I'll be all right. Let me sit up.
Okay.
All right, I'm good. I'm readjusted. Now this game, when it came out, it's considered some of the best graphics at the time. And I remember before it came out, seeing like pictures from magazines.
Mm-hmm.
I was being blown away by it.
Well, I
thought
thought
graphics can never get better than this.
and by gosh, they haven't. Of course, in classic, Nintendo 64, PlayStation era graphics, these kind of blocky, uh, almost a callback to Minecraft, almost in a way.
Oh, real polygony.
Even the remaster is a bit polygony. Is that a word? Do we just make
it
up
is
a word?
Now? You're welcome, Mr. Webster.
So just looking at some of the graphics, I mean, there's a lot of flatness about it, but in the remaster, the colors are more vibrant. The detail is way
it takes better updated a little bit. Like clearer, crisper.
Very, very much so. And of course, with the 2-stick layout, it makes things a whole lot easier.
Right.
So before we get too deep into the game, tell us about playing the game on the 1-stick layout. They changed the controls up a little bit. I remember you saying that from the first playthrough.
It's been since the 90s since I played it. I think this was the first time I played it in a year, starting with 2. But the original had those weird controls,
right?
You could use those in this one, but if I'm not mistaken, they had another scheme that was just like GoldenEye.
Okay, so they kind of took something that they knew was probably a better stick layout, and didn't necessarily call it a better stick layout, just give you the option for it,
right? Which is always good.
So we said earlier, this is a continuation of the story. First thing, when you fire everything up and get the game started, first thing you notice is we have a new Turok.
Mm-hmm. Joshua Fireseed.
So this was the Turok that was not in the first game, but was in the instruction manual for the first game.
He was on the cover art.
Right.
He's a modern day Turok, whereas the one in Dinosaur Hunter, Tau Set, is set, back in the 1800s.
Okay.
And he's a direct descendant from Tau Set and the new Turok, and my personal favorite Turok, because this is my favorite Turok game.
Well, a lot of games, the second one is primarily the better one. Not movies so much.
Yeah.
So we start off and we kind of come through this portal, I guess, lack of a better term.
Yeah, when we meet Adon, the alien woman who kind of explains things to us, that there's this being called the Primogen who's trying to break loose from his prison he's in, and if he does, everything ends.
Right. So there are basically, is it 5 or is it 6 of these power structures?
5 of them
that all of his minions, I guess, are trying to destroy. And your goal through each of these levels is to go through and save these power structures where they fail.
Right. And by the way, I can't stop yawning.
Well, it is after 10 o'clock when we're decided to record this.
Yeah, and the enemies this time, he's got an army of dinosaur human hybrids.
And that's something I thought was very interesting. So the first one, obviously it's called Dinosaur Hunter, and there are dinosaurs with freaking laser beams on their heads.
Excuse me, sir. Dinosaurs.
Thank you. The dinosaurs are advanced in the fact that they have advanced weapons about them.
Well, they've been weaponized, I guess.
In this one, the dinosaurs have almost been humanized in a sense, or
well, they're still dinosaurs. There's still raptors and compies and stuff,
but very few.
Yeah, it's more of a focus on these like hybrid monsters,
and that to me is kind of where, I mean, there's a lot of similarities, but we kind of discussed the very first enemies you come into. There you go. Michael Jackson's Thriller is about to start now. The first enemies you come to, when you first get to them, they're a little tough. And this isn't an RPG in the sense of you level up your character or anything, but once you start the game, they're a little tough, but once you kind of figure them out, they're not that bad. And I kind of made the reference that these were kind of like the grunts in Halo.
Oh, very similar.
They have a kamikaze mode where they'll try to
they predator kill themselves,
right?
That risk self-destruct system.
there were enemies a little later in the game that kind of remind me of the elite / brutes.
Yeah.
And then others that kind of reminded me of the hunters in a way. So they kind of got a little bigger, kind of got a little harder.
Right. And
but they weren't everywhere.
You had some returning enemies. You had the Purlins are bad. It's the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Leapers, which are the most annoying enemy in the first one.
Right.
And you had the Mantids. Mantids that were in the original as well. They're the like bug-like creatures with the lasers, but and yeah, a few new ones.
So back again is the health meter system where you go by and pick up the little pluses, I guess is what I kept calling them.
Yeah.
For your health. Then you had the ones that were kind of for your shield. You had the little diamond shaped pieces that are kind of like the Mario coins.
Right. You get so many, you get an extra life.
And then of course the weapons. One of the things that they continued with this game was the innovative weapons.
Yeah, over the top.
Very, very over
they
the top.
went way over the top this time.
This is the kind of thing that you want with a game like this, and this is kind of where it kind of reminded me of Doom a little bit.
I can see that.
Just because the over the top, the only thing missing was the BFG.
Well, you kind of had something like it, but yeah, and the whole gore factors turned up because you can dismember enemies, you can blast them apart, they can die horrific deaths in front of you.
Well, there's one. What was that? Cerebral bore.
The cerebral bore, probably the greatest weapon. I love that thing.
That was a very neat weapon. Describe it for us a little bit.
Well, you lock on and you fire this little drone that seeks them out, attaches itself to their head, bores through their skull, and plants an explosive and explodes.
I mean,
and all its gory detail.
If that doesn't scream like futuristic awesomeness, I don't know what does.
That just screams just action.
The other one that you tended to use a lot was for lack of a better term, it's a frisbee with blades on it.
The razor wind. It always made me think of. Did you ever watch Xena, Warrior Princess?
I remember it before it got controversial.
Well, she had.
But I didn't watch it.
She had this little, like, I guess for lack of a better term, frisbee little thing. This little ring that she would throw, and it would always bounce back to her.
Right.
And, she was Captain America before Captain America had his shield.
Was she though?
Yeah, I think so.
Was it before Captain America? Well, I don't know.
Before the Marvel movie. It's basically acted like a mini,
It's like a frisbee boomerang.
Right. It acted just like a shield. She'd throw it, it'd bounce off some people, kill them, and come back to her hand.
Yeah.
And this is the same deal, except it's got spikes all over it.
The funny thing was to see
a lot of fun.
The funny thing was to see you throw this thing and completely miss an enemy. And every time I saw that, all I could think of was the enemies going, "Ha ha, you stupid idiot, you missed."
Yeah.
And then as it would come back,
I maneuver myself so it come back through them.
So I mean, it takes a little bit of knowing how to use it to make it worthwhile, but it was pretty effective, I thought.
Oh yeah, and all the weapons are great, and I love the lock-on feature. You had that with the cerebral bore, you had that with the rocket launcher.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you had your standard assault rifle, minigun,
right?
Grenade launcher. You had one that laid mines, and you could, like, if an enemy's coming at you, you could turn a corner and lay a mine instead of trap because it's proximity.
Mm-hmm.
You had the tranquilizer gun.
Yep.
The cattle prod gun that would shock them.
Yeah,
and that only stunned them, so you could open up with another shot.
He had a grenade launcher that was pretty neat. We used that when we were playing around. So full disclosure, before we get too far into this review, Hammy, have you ever actually beaten this game 100% legitimately?
Oh, no. I cheated every time.
So you went to Food World with your mother.
Yep.
And wrote down the code, the master code to turn all the cheats on.
Man, those were the days.
Wasn't it, though? We had no idea we were living our best life.
Go to the grocery store, go to the magazine rack, and you had your tips and tricks, you had your Nintendo Power, which I usually bought the Nintendo Powers, the new ones when they came out. And just read through them and see all these games coming out because there was no internet. Well, no, I didn't have internet.
No, rural Alabama did not have internet. You want to know something else? Rural Alabama kind of still doesn't have internet.
Not decent internet.
Yes.
And yeah, I would look through the tips and tricks, find the game, and go run to her like, write this down, because they would never buy me the magazine.
No,
like $3 or $4, and they made such a big deal about it. Look, if you just buy me one, that'll do me for a while.
I used to love some Tips and Tricks magazine. I used to love the ones that would come out, and it was like a yearly thing, and they would put every system, every game that they had tips for or codes for every system.
And it's funny because back then games had the codes, but they also had the lives,
right,
and stuff like that. And nowadays, I think games are just too easy. I know that sounds weird.
In a sense, they are. In a sense, because there's checkpoints.
They're still enjoyable.
Regen health. You know,
right.
Used to you had to go and find the health pack and try to be very strategic in how many hit points you took.
Yeah, still enjoyable, but just a whole different time.
Other guns of note. You had the Warblade.
Yeah,
which is pretty neat. We kept calling it Shredders.
Well, yeah, the Shredder one was the little one, then the other one, like you came up, and then again it was like Predator,
right?
Like comes up and the blades come out. It's really cool.
We had a nuke.
The nuke was the BFG of Turok. Not as cool as the Chrono Scepter from the first one, but still pretty cool.
Had the harpoon gun.
That was underwater. Because underwater you would have that, and then you also had this thing that you held onto, and it like
underwater a sub.
Yeah, and it would shoot like torpedoes.
Let's see what else.
So you could actually fight underwater now.
You had a charge dart rifle.
Yeah, that was the cattle prod gun.
The bow,
as they call it.
The tech bow.
Yeah,
the pistol.
The tech bow.
The tech bow. Scorpion launcher. Have I said that one already?
Yeah, that was the missile launcher.
Grenade launcher, nuke, torpedo launcher, harpoon gun. And my favorite of all of these was the Triceratops.
Yeah.
So we made the reference in the first episode or the first Turok that, man, how great would it be if you could ride a dinosaur?
Yeah, because in that one of the last levels, you had those enemies that were riding the Triceratops with the guns. I want that.
Exactly. Well,
you get that.
My gosh, you got it in this one, and it was really fun and really funny to watch them too, because once you kind of got up to these enemies, they would take off and run. And then again, that kind of reminded me of the grunts running away.
Well, that's another thing about this game is the AI was pretty advanced for the time.
Mm-hmm.
You had AI that would take cover, that would throw explosives,
right?
That would act a lot more.
And you get that one renegade character that decides, "Hey, I'm going to try to take him on," and he runs to the dinosaur, and it's instant death for him.
The dinosaur wins. Triceratops beats everything.
I think it would have been pretty fun to have like the enemies, get stuck on the horns or whatever. Yeah,
I would have had so many I couldn't have seen though. I kept trampling.
Yeah, you did.
But the game was, not just in the graphics and the guns and AI, but it was a lot more complex in other ways.
Well, the levels I did see it seemed like they were a lot longer.
They were, and then you had objectives. You had to free the children, save the prisoners,
right?
Destroy these things, and it was cool because before each one, you would have Adon come up and kind of show you scenes from the level and tell you what you need to do in that level.
And that kind of reminded me of the newer Halo games, like the Warzone, where it tells you what objectives you have.
Yeah,
when you start out that mission, maybe you have to protect certain points or capture certain points from the enemy or whatever.
Or like Star Wars Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
Remember the briefings?
So
Crix Maydean is being held on Corellia.
I did not expect that. So I thought that it's a good continuation of the story, but they kind of shifted gears a little bit and made it, I don't know why I think this game is so much different, because a lot of it is the same. It's point click shoot,
Yeah, it's just a shooter.
But
it's got lore. It's got a depth to it that the first one didn't have.
Right.
The first one, we talked about the ancient city and the catacombs. Catacombs being my favorite level.
Sure.
It's like, I kind of want to know the backstory to all this, and you kind of get a little bit more of that in this one, because you go through that one city that was on the River of Souls, and they're like, "Oh, this water's undrinkable."
Yeah, because you had actually made the comment, well, if the water's undrinkable, why'd you build a city next to it? And then it turns out the power source that you're there to protect.
Yeah, if I'd just shut up for a few seconds, Adon would have explained it to me. So I forgot about all that. But yeah, the power source, one of the uh, obelisks that's keeping the Primogen in prison, like cleanse the water. So they built this thriving society on it. I mean, I would still be hesitant. It's like, well, the water's clean because of this thing, but still, what if it goes out?
What if it electrocutes me now?
Yeah.
Returning is the kind of central hub. It's a little different, but it's still there. You've got the central hub and these 5 portals that you have to go through. Each one obviously leads to a little different. What would you call these portals? Where do these portals lead? Is it to
levels?
Okay, obviously they're levels, but are they areas on a planet or on different planets?
Yeah, they're all in the Lost Land, if I'm not mistaken, which is where the Turok games, right? The Land of Lost, where Turok set.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. And if you get into the backstory, which we read, I can't remember if it's really explained in the game, but the events from the first Turok awakened the Primogen,
right,
who had gone back in time because he wanted to see God create the universe.
Okay.
And the Lazarus Concordance, which are the good guys, imprisoned him because he was going to cause irreparable damage if he had done it. And they like, I guess, put him in some kind of slumber in his own ship. And the events from the first game woke him up. Now he's trying to get loose and destroy those beacons. And so Adon, representing the Lazarus Concordance, contacts Turok. So, hey, you need to stop this.
So the first level is the port of Adia.
Adia.
Sorry.
Or Adia. That's it. She says it in the game. There's voice acting.
Yeah, you know what? It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad voice acting. I didn't feel like, and it was very clear.
Yeah, it's all Adon.
Nintendo's got a very sketchy history when it comes to cartridge games about voiceovers not sounding exactly like they need to. It's very muffled sometimes. You had mentioned the River of Souls. The second area is called the Slaughter by the River of Souls.
Well, Port of Adia is the one where you gotta free the kids,
right?
And it's cool. You free them. They're like, "Thank you, Turok,"
and it's
and then they disappear.
And that kind of reminded me a little bit, very little, of BioShock, where you're trying to save girls.
The little sisters.
Yes.
So, have you ever played that?
I have not, and that is in Clint's game regret vault. That's probably one of the highest games on my list that I've never.
If we ever do a not quite so retro review, we need to do BioShock.
I agree. I think I could get into it a little bit more. I've got to get some time to do that, but I think I would enjoy it. I've got to really get to the point where I can actually sit down and put time into something like that. Another one that's kind of on that Clint regret of shame of games I've never played is Skyrim. And I know that's a big one for
It's only been released on 11,000 different platforms.
I should be able to play it by now.
It gets a new release every year, it seems. But
is it on Switch?
Yeah, and it really is.
Wow. Okay.
So, Port of Adia, going back, something I noticed too, that when I was playing, that I don't necessarily remember being in the N64 version. I don't know if this was added or not. But mantling,
yeah, when you got to the top of a climb,
yeah, where you like jump, and usually if you don't land on the edge, you just fall,
right?
But if you hit the corner, he like grabs it and pulls himself up, and that was in the game, and that honestly kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Yeah, you're pretty. I
was like, wait, was that always in there?
Yeah, it kind of surprised you a bit.
It did.
But again, like I said, we did play the remaster, so it might have been something that they did with that. I tell you one thing they did not fix with the remaster: the climbing grunts.
Yeah.
We've got to get that sound and put it in there right there.
But now the levels are still very laid out. I thought, you got to find keys, you got to find certain switches to open
Mm-hmm.
certain doors. So there's a little bit of backtracking and fighting hidden areas.
One big change from the 64 version to the remaster is not necessarily on the map, but within your actual display, you can see an exclamation point telling you your next objective.
Right.
I don't mind that because this is the kind of game that you could get lost in if you don't know exactly.
One of the
what to go to.
complaints of the game back in the day was that the levels were too complex. It was too hard to find what you were supposed to do next.
Mhm.
And you had that map, which is a very terrible map.
Yeah, the little overlay map with the triangles.
Right.
Or the
And by the way, it's usually not all the way filled out. It only show where you've been.
yeah.
So that was one.
But we wouldn't know that because we cheated.
Yeah. By the way, beware oblivion is at hand.
Is the cheat that you need.
A lot less difficult than the original.
You want to touch on Rivers of Souls?
Well, I was thinking, since I mentioned that was one of the complaints. Another complaint was the frame rate on the 64.
Yes.
Now, if you had the expansion pack, which I did, it raised the resolution, made the game look even better on N64, but it came at the cost of frame rate. So you got better resolution and lost a little performance.
Well, and we had kind of talked a little bit too about how when they were developing the game, the original plan was to axe the multiplayer that was eventually put in the game, but to axe it and save. I think the game was going to be what 11.
Yeah, 11 or 12 megabytes.
11 or 12 megabytes, and then they put the multiplayer in the game, and it swelled it up to a whopping 32 megabytes.
By the way, Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War, 243 gigs.
And we're talking about at one point the best looking game in the world in 1998 was 32 megs.
Yeah, just scandalous, basically.
That's floppy drive. I mean, you're getting floppy drives. Kind of.
By the way, I found some floppy drives from college the other day.
Yeah, you told me about that. You had a report and a couple of pictures on it.
Yeah, pictures of our good friend Eric G.
Okay.
Not Eric G from Trustful, but good man.
There you go.
I know 2 Eric G's. That's crazy.
That is pretty funny.
River of Lost Souls or River of Souls.
Right.
Second level, which is very dark. You notice that?
I did.
The first one, you have the light. You have the blue sky. It looks great.
Mm-hmm.
You have the seagulls you can shoot down, which
you had a lot of foliage and stuff too.
Yeah, it was more fleshed out. This just felt like it was underground.
Yeah, kind of like almost like a Roman architecture look as well.
Well, that's not so bad. It's just, I guess it was taking place at night.
Yeah, night.
And
before we came back here to record, Hammy was going to show me. You were going to show me the flight simulator, and you said it was in real time. So you tried to take off from a airport that's as local to us as we can find. It was pitch black, and he couldn't see anything.
I ended up in a lake.
He ended up crashing the plane in a lake. Oh goodness, that was funny.
I could not say. I could not tell. But another complaint from back in the day was the whole fog.
Yeah,
that basically is hiding the fact that
it's got to load.
Yeah, stuff's not rendering live. I love how some games like Cruising USA just didn't hide it. It's like,
yeah, well,
if you want to see it, drive closer,
right? And oh gosh, what was it? Driver was a lot like that.
Oh too. Man,
that was really.
It wouldn't even load within, or it wouldn't even render within braking distance.
No, it wouldn't. So you have to destroy 3 Sisters of Despair, and then locate the energy totem and defend it. That's kind of the theme for all these levels. You have to find that totem, defend it, and say, okay, this level is quote unquote clear. Nothing else is going to destroy the totem. Anything else about this area?
No, not really.
Oh, okay. So the next level is Lair of the Blind Ones.
Is it? You sure about that?
I'm not.
I was thinking the Perlin.
Oh, the Death Marches.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm one ahead.
The swamp
area, exactly.
With the Perlins. which were the big brute ape-like creatures.
Mm-hmm.
From the first one. They're back. They look really cool in this one.
So in this one, there are 5 prisoners that you have to rescue.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to destroy 3 ammunition storage facilities, and then locate and defend the totem.
And it's dark as well.
Yeah, I mean, it does a good job of trying to show you where you're at. Is this the one with the green, the green water all around it? Yeah. So,
I mean, it's just setting the mood, the setting, I guess. Then after that is the Lair of the Blind Ones.
Lair of the Blind Ones, yes.
Which was always cool because the Blind Ones were a cool enemy. That you had this thing called a Sun Pod that you found there.
Mm-hmm.
You hit any other enemy with it, it acts kind of like a flashbang.
Right.
But the Blind Ones, it's fatal.
Yes, you showed me that. And that grenade looking thing, it looks like something I've seen before. I want to say it looks like one of the levels from Star Fox. You know how they have little orbs that show the level, like after you've beaten it on Star Fox and Star Fox 64. It's kind of what it looked like to me for some reason. I don't know why. This piece of trivia is brought to you by Bob's Big Buicks. So Lair of the Blind Ones, again, another long level, but it's pretty.
It really was. I remember getting lost in it a lot.
Yes.
But I loved it, man.
The only thing that you had to do from objective standpoint was seal 3 of the terminal vents and then locate and defend the totem.
Right. And something else about these levels is you had these secret areas that you would find where you were fighting this enemy called Oblivion that apparently was independent of the Primogen. So had nothing to do with him, but were still trying to stop you.
Well, and one of the things that that was pretty weird about this level was the giant spiders in it. The backstory on that is that the blind ones would keep the spiders as pets.
Spiders are not pets, people.
Is this the one where
so is Kevin McAllister's big brother
Buzz
a Bond one?
Buzz, I'm playing with your. What's he doing? Better come stop me. I can't remember what the line is. Yeah, they're pretty gnarly looking too. In the remake.
Yeah, but the Bolivian, if you found all their secret stuff in the portal, you got a secret boss fight. But we'll get to that later.
Yes.
What was after the blonde ones? Was it the Mantids?
It's the hive of the Mantids. Yes.
And it was very alien, very advanced.
Mm-hmm.
Which they are. I can't remember if you actually went on one of their ships in the first one or not. I know you fought them. I don't know if you got to see like any more of their like origins or anything like that, but it is pretty cool to see that in this one.
Well, this one, the objectives were destroy 3 queen embryos, destroy the master computer, and then locate and defend the energy totem. Excuse me.
How these energy totems keep ending up in the most violent, worst places?
I don't know, but maybe that's why they have the portals that kind of lead to there. Even though, if I'm going to put a portal to go to this thing, I think I'm going to go right to it. I don't want to put a portal to go at the very far edge. Well,
you got to fight through this army to get to it. Well, why don't they just all right, let's build this massive fortress around this energy totem to make sure the Primogen never escapes.
Tell me about the Mantids.
They're insect-like aliens. The first one, they had that cool gun, that green plasma-looking gun. And they're bad guys.
I don't know why they're insects though. It's kind of made that step from it's almost like they run out of dinosaurs to kind of emulate, so they kind of made these guys insect-looking people.
I mean, why not? They're aliens.
But I mean, I'm kind of foreshadowing here, but when I'm not foreshadowing, I'm spoiling. Once you get to the main bad guy, he's got a lot of insect qualities about him too. Mm-hmm. So,
mayhaps they're related.
Mayhaps,
perchance,
probably not.
No, maybe.
So the last one is the Peregrine's lightship.
Primogen.
Primogen's lightship.
You have never said that.
I've not said it. I've not said it
You've
correctly.
said it different every time.
Every single time. This is the alien ship, and it's kind of reminiscent of the last level Turok 1 a little bit.
It is.
You've got a lot of steel around. I mean, it's very very ship like. In the first one, you had to go through those elevators, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm making sure I'm recalling that.
I was looking at the recorder, making sure that that we were selected to record.
Well, I
had a little moment there where I was like, "Oh."
We've been talking to nothing for the past 30 minutes. So this one, you had to destroy the 3 automated assembly plants and then purify the River of Souls. So you have gotten, I guess by this point, you have protected all 3 of the pyramids, right?
4, 5.
I said 3, didn't I?
I don't know. Yeah,
probably.
So that's cool. That's a little continuity there. It's like let's purify the River of Souls so that city doesn't die. That's on the River of Souls.
So whenever you defend the different pyramids, when you defend the 5, it basically seals off everything and makes it to where the Primogen, I did that on purpose, can't get into or can't destroy, and therefore get into to destroy the universe. So basically this 6th level is you finishing the fight, not to steal a Halo term there, but
yeah, it's like we got to seal the Primogen in. Oh yeah, go ahead and kill him too.
Right.
Why didn't you do that to begin with? Turok's like, why didn't you do that? First of all, I could have slept in. As you read your phone.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually get to the actual backstory. That's the bad thing. The good thing about this game, it was more in depth. The bad thing was there's not a lot of depth to the in depth, if that makes sense.
Doesn't.
Does it not?
No.
Well, it went more in depth and you had more to do and the levels were longer, but there wasn't a whole lot of backstory to the depth, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Like it was there and you were aware that it's there. You just weren't quite sure what
you didn't know all the details.
Right. And
here's bad guy, go get him.
Yeah, you kind of had to fill in the gaps. I think there's some stuff you could unlock that would explain things. It's been so long, man. I mean, from what we played tonight,
yeah,
I barely scratched the surface. I mean, I've played through this game so many times, but it's been over 2 decades ago. But I do remember just absolutely loving this game.
Oh, I mean, it's a very fun game. I really enjoy watching you play, and I enjoy playing just what little bit I did as well.
And I realized that I didn't own this game until I was much older. And the reason I knew is because I always keep the instruction booklets, and I didn't have the one for this game.
Really? Oh, because you bought it
much later,
much later.
Years. And I do remember, which we'll talk about that later, renting it a lot or borrowing it from cousin Jeremy.
So you made the comment earlier that this was one of those games that you rented so many times or borrowed so many times you should have just went ahead and bought it.
I probably spent more money renting it than I would have spent buying it.
Yeah. That would be a good episode, I think. Maybe we'll put that one in the bank to do one day.
Yeah, like games you rented
so much that you could have just bought it.
Yeah.
So
I do know that after Jeremy got done with it, I borrowed it from him a lot. I borrowed a lot from Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy.
So moving on, do you want to talk about some of the bosses in this? I know we touched on some of the enemies.
Yeah, well, the main two is the mother boss, which is the secret hidden Oblivion boss that you don't have to fight to beat the game. But if you do all the optional Oblivion stuff, you fight her. And you don't really get much for beating her. It's just kind of, you talk to Adon, and Adon's like, I have no idea who this enemy is. But they were definitely trying to stop you, and it's foreshadowing Turok 3 because Oblivion was the enemy in Turok 3.
So Turok 3 didn't come out till 2000, and Turok 1 was what, 96, 97?
Something like that.
Do you think they knew that they were going to put this in 3 games, or
yeah, no doubt.
or were they going to see about the success of the first one before they made the rest?
I think that it was planned, because it's very integral to the story of Turok 3. Just Turok 3 was not my favorite at all. definitely bottom tier Turok game for me.
So we kind of fought the bosses a little bit out of order. Part of the big cheat that you get, obviously,
You warp to every boss.
right? You can warp to the different stages, so you can play the stages from the beginning, but then you can also actually warp to the bosses. And I thought that was a very neat thing to do, because there's a lot of times where
It's in the first game too.
is it?
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
yeah. You can warp to any
No,
boss.
I do remember that because of the Hummer. We had to fight the Hummer people.
Because I was like, I'm not going through this whole entire level.
I do wish that they had that, or some way of doing that in some other games. I think that would be a very cool thing to do in Zelda, because that's some of the best parts of Zelda are the boss fights.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Wind Waker had a boss rush.
So I think that would be a great mode for games like that. I think that would be a great mode for the Arkham games with Batman.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say Halo, but Halo absolutely has no bosses. So
it really does.
But just, a game rush or a boss rush for like your Mario games and stuff. I just think that would be a cool idea. Just where a lot of these games, they put like a new game plus, it makes it a little bit harder, or leveled up enemies that you just go through all the bosses just one by one by one. I think it'd be fun to play like a Sonic version of that.
Yeah.
Not a hacked ROM, because there are hacked ROM versions of that, but I think it'd be fun to play.
But the Primogen boss, fought him. His fight is a little convoluted.
Yeah,
it was a little frustrating for me because you have to fight he drops grenades at you. You have to fight his drones, and he comes out. You have to shoot the little arms on his back, and you have to be precise.
Right.
Like splash damage from explosions won't do it. You got to be right on them, and you have to do that 2 or 3 times before you finally beat him. And I know the campaigner in the first one, you could just, if you were cheating, pull out the Chrono Scepter and just keep blasting him until he's done. This one, not so much.
Yeah, there wasn't a BFG version for the bosses in these. I noticed that. Bless you.
Thank you.
I noticed that you not so much having trouble. It was just, I don't know if it's like a frame rate, maybe the slowdown even of the remaster.
I just didn't know where to shoot him.
Well, I mean, there's that too. But
I was pulling out every gun, seeing what works. It's like, well, something worked.
Well,
and then
that's
I figured
the thing.
out, oh, that's what I got to do.
Well, and then again, we fought Mother before we fought the main boss, and my inner Star Fox come out, because the Mother has a great big eye and these kind of tentacle things.
Yeah.
Well, my inner Star Fox and Zelda come out, and it's like, okay, hey, let's shoot the eye. That's obviously the eye. It's yellow. Everything else is kind of a dull color. That was not the case.
No, because I kept shooting it. It's like nothing's happening. Let's shoot the arms.
Yeah. That was a pretty cool fight. I like, Resident Evil. The older Resident Evils kind of did that, where you would kill an enemy or defeat a boss, and then they would kind of morph or go to their second stage, I guess.
Yeah, multiple stages to these bosses.
And then something would grow, make them a little different. You had to defeat that, and then they would grow again. You had to defeat that before they finally. I mean, it's like an episode of Dragon Ball Z almost.
This isn't even my final form.
So the Mother fight was fun once you kind of figured out what you had to do. You did point out that you don't actually kill it, though.
No, it just
kind of runs away.
You wound it and it flees, and that goes back to the third one when Oblivion returns.
So is that the name of that?
Shadows of Oblivion. And that's the cool thing about Turok 2 is you can play the entire game start to finish, beat it, and never touch on the Oblivion stuff and never know anything about it.
Huh. Well, because you don't have to face the mother.
Right.
Huh.
And to face the mother, you got to find all the secret little hidden things. Oblivion. It's like a little portal takes you somewhere. You have to fight some Oblivion monsters or something like that.
So is that boss in Oblivion?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I barely played any Turok 3. I played 1 and 2 religiously and barely touched 3.
Huh. Is that just because it was so bad, or is that just because something else kind of piqued your interest by that time?
I think by the end there was something else out that had my attention.
Like GameCube?
2000? No, I didn't get a GameCube till 02. So I don't know. There was something.
Probably Mario Tennis.
Mayhaps.
I really enjoyed the first game. It made a lot of sense because it was called Dinosaur Hunter. And I guess because the first game you're fighting dinosaurs and the second game you're not fighting dinosaurs.
No, the first game you're fighting, they're dinosaurs. We're mostly fighting humans and the campaigners' army and the mantids and all those other monsters.
Right. Again, this game had a very Doom-esque feel to it. Just because the deeper you got into the game, the more hellish, for lack of a better term, the enemies kind of became.
Yeah.
They kind of became these demon kind of ghoul kind of people.
Right. Well, Doom's going to be a trendsetter anyway.
Well, I mean, it's a first-person shooter, so therefore it's a trendsetter already.
There you go.
So,
one thing we didn't touch on that I played quite a bit back in the day was the multiplayer.
Yes.
I played that a lot with Jeremy. And one time, completely by accident, we discovered that you could, if you had the cheats in where you could warp to levels, and you're playing multiplayer, you could access that and basically create your own co-op mode. Both players could go into the level and play it.
Neat. So, did you ever play the multiplayer with more than well, first of all, did you ever play with more than just Jeremy?
Jeremy, Skylar, and Trent, his two brothers.
Okay.
If it was a 4-player game, we played it.
Okay.
We had some pretty epic Halo battles over the years.
So, and my second part of that question is, can you do the campaign with 4 players?
I think it's limited to 2.
Okay.
That's what I
32
think.
megabytes, probably so.
Yeah. We only did it with 2.
Okay.
But I don't remember actually doing it anymore.
Okay. Of course, it's going to take pure advantage of Nintendo 64's 4 controller ports. To me, that made it the first real party console, but that's neither here nor there. Kind of become the staple going forward for most all gaming systems to be able to have 4.
And now you don't even have any ports. Just turn it on and have it paired.
Yeah. Yeah, from what, 360 up?
Yeah, well, there's your 360 right there. There's no ports. There's USB cables, but...
Yeah, I've got those because I don't have any battery packs.
Yeah, but if you just turn it on, you can hook up the 4 controllers up to it.
Yeah. Okay.
You may can hook up more. I don't know. Never tried it.
No, it won't house more than 4 per system.
But yeah, 64 is where 4 became the standard, not the exception.
I'm so glad that it did.
Yeah.
So, wrapping up Turok. Probably not a game you seek out today so much.
It's really good. It's very
from
good.
a nostalgia retro perspective. It's good.
It is.
It's got a good playability. It's got. Oh, we didn't touch on the fact that you could actually fail if you don't capture one of the pyramids. You can actually fail the mission. Like, you can keep going with the game, and it just kind of says that the Prometheans, funny, like, they're gone, but you can still sense their presence. Or you can actually protect all the pyramids, and it says, "Okay, they're gone for good. You've saved the day."
So I was always successful. So I didn't know there was a bad ending.
There's an asterisk by you're successful.
I did it. I mean, I won.
I think we started touching on this a little bit ago. Other things that are in the game as far as cheats. Part of the course for this time, there's a big head, big hands, big feet mode.
Also known as DK mode.
Yeah.
GoldenEye.
the level warps, the God mode with the invincibility, and all the guns.
I like how the game kind of shames you when you choose. You can turn on the cheat.
Well, it shames you, and then of course the new
So
version.
how dare you?
It tells you that you won't get any achievements by having the
Yeah.
cheats on.
And who cares about achievements?
Back in the day, we did.
You did.
Back in the day, I did, because I did. Y'all were just set out to beat me, and once you beat me,
No, you and Casey had that competition
we had a
going
competition go on for a little while.
And
he beat me one time, then I passed him again. And he just said, "I don't care. I beat you that one time."
Because you kept playing those little cheat games that were easy to get the
points are points, baby.
Yeah.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Well, you know, I beat Turok too. So
well, I can't blame you there. So big news. Hammy has went out and purchased.
Oh yes,
something.
This is the first time.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and tell them.
Then. I was able to get a Virtual Boy.
You were able to procure
my Virtual Boy. Got on eBay. Just happened to be on at the right time.
Right.
And this gentleman in Pennsylvania posted it.
Thank you, sir. By the
yes, very awesome. I actually contacted him and I was like, "Man, this thing was even better condition than I'd hoped, because it is. It's clean.
Yeah,
it works great. It exceeded my expectations, and it came with an AC adapter.
Yeah, that's
which took me a long time to figure out. Plugged into the controller. Because I called you. It's like, dude, how do you put this thing together?
Yeah. So I was asking, Hammy got it. He said, "Hey, it came in. I'm so excited." I said, "Hey, plug it up. See how it goes." And then he calls me and he's like, "I don't know where this AC adapter goes." I said, "It goes on the on the controller."
I was looking on the Virtual Boy itself. It's like, this doesn't plug in anywhere.
Oh man, the Virtual Boy. The good thing is it came with an extra eye shade. That was the one thing that I knew that I needed. After mine was set in a tote for some time, my eye shade was in dire needs of being replaced.
And devoured by rats.
More than likely devoured by rats. So it came with an extra eye shade. So I was able to get mine put back together.
So we have two working Virtual Boys.
Mine will take batteries and will last for 30 minutes, but still, we have two working Virtual Boys. The plan is to get some sort of connector adapter. I don't know if there's one that's available, but to see if we can maybe play Mario Tennis together, or I think that's it.
maybe golf. I've got 5 games for it.
Is there a golf game?
There is. There's golf. There's the boxing game. There's a fishing game that actually looks really good.
Really?
But I will say this: those games are expensive.
Yeah, AF.
All retro games are expensive now.
Why is that? Is the market just flooded? Not flooded, but the demand is so high right now.
It's kind of surprised a lot of people who keep up with it, because they were actually expecting retro games to go down. And they're just kind of going up. So we've got 5.
I think we're past that point to where it's starting to really be a collector's thing now.
Yeah, we've got 5 staple games, I think.
Yeah.
And not this season, but next season, I would like a review of the entire console.
Well, that's 5 minutes worth of the episode.
I would like to get more games. There's actually one game I really want that was only released in Japan.
Waterworld.
No.
Oh.
But it's $300.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, plus imported from Japan. So you got to pay that.
Will it work on the Virtual Boy? Our version of the Virtual Boy?
It should. I mean, I don't think they made 2 different versions.
Well, I know, like, sometimes you have to be real careful and get the US version versus the PAL version.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's region locked.
Okay.
So I'm fairly certain it'll work, but I'm not going to spend $300 in the game.
You said that you weren't going to spend the money you spent for Virtual Boy.
No, I said I would.
Well,
I actually got it for.
I thought you got a pretty good deal for it.
I got an incredible deal.
Now, I mean, it's not $25 like I bought mine for brand new in the box back in the day, because it was such a what would you call that? It's a bust, yeah.
So, and again, and I told the guy that we had a retro view podcast.
Cool.
And hopefully he's listening. If you are, thank you so much, sir.
Hey, we have had a big influx of Massachusetts listener.
Well, he was in Pennsylvania,
Well,
and you
he
could
might
tell
get his internet from Massachusetts.
no that they're more advanced than we are here in rural Alabama. He
It's where the Amish are. Come on now.
he
They'll
said
never hear this.
He said in a message to me, he's like, he had to let it go, but he's got responsibilities now.
Yeah, like a house,
three kids.
Wow.
And said he's happy it went to a good home, and it did. It'll be well taken care of and well reviewed. I've got it right there on my desk now at home, and
are you blind yet?
My vision is much more terrible for it, but
imagine looking at lasers all the time.
I got my nephew, who is 19 years old.
Yeah.
To play it, and he'd never. I think the system's older than him. I think.
Yeah, that was 96.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, he was born in 02. So
I got right before 96. That might have been 94. I got him 95.
To play it, and it just blew his mind that was the thing.
Well, I don't know. I think it got a bad rep. No, it's not good. Don't get me wrong, it's not good, but there are some games there that I think should be brought over. I don't know if they ever got brought over like to the Wii Classic console or anything like that, but the Wario Land was really good. Mario's Tennis, and I know there's a ton of Mario Tennis games out there now, but the Mario Tennis was really good. And the Mario Clash was good. That was kind of like the original, not Super Mario Brothers, but sorry, Super Mario Brothers.
There you go.
Not like the Super Mario Brothers, but more like the original Mario Brothers, where you're going through the pipe and you're crushing the turtles and hitting the little POW block and all that kind of stuff.
Anyway, we need to save that for the review.
Yeah, we do. I'm super excited about it. If we can get a link cable,
I am, man.
I say, look, there's no way of filming it, so that's completely out. But I think that if we can find the link cable, we got to have some epic matches on Mario Tennis for sure.
So that means I think Virtual Boy was my last Nintendo console on my list. I think I've got every.
You have an NES?
Oh, I don't have an NES. You're right. I do not have an NES, but I've got the Super. Mm-hmm. I've got the 64, the GameCube. I actually got, I think, 3 GameCubes somehow.
Okay.
I got a Wii, the Wii U, Switch. Then for handhelds, which this is actually considered a handheld.
Yeah.
Virtual Boy. I got the OG Game Boy.
I still got mine.
Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP.
You have a color?
I got a Game Boy Color.
Okay.
Do not have a Game Boy Mini or Pocket, one of the two. But it's basically it's just
the same thing, just smaller.
Yeah. Now I've got a DS, a 3DS, 2DS, a new 3DS, a new 2DS.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, I may have a problem.
Yeah, you may.
I can't think of any other Nintendo systems.
You don't have the Nintendo Nomad.
That wasn't a thing. That was the Sega.
Sega. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode today, buddy. Anything?
What do we talk about? Oh yeah, Turok.
Do you think we'll get to 3? Honestly,
no, I'm done.
You're done. There's no more Turok after 2.
After 2, you had 3, which just I don't know. It wasn't too well received. I would play it
same.
If they came out with a remaster. I would play. I don't own the N64 copy. I'm not willing to go get it. If they did a Switch or the remaster for Switch or Xbox or everything,
sure.
I think that's kind of telling that they didn't.
Yeah, it's almost a Sonic 3 treatment.
Well, for different reasons.
But for different reasons. Sure.
There was a Rage Wars, which was all multiplayer. Jeremy had that. We played that quite a bit. Huh. There was Turok Evolution for GameCube.
I remember Evolution for some reason. A
lot of people will poo-poo on that game. I liked it. I don't know. It was good, dumb fun for me. It had some good qualities. There was the reboot for 360 called Turok, where they just took the story and just threw it out and made something brand new. It had some good qualities, but
do I have that one?
You might.
I know I've got the 64 version of Dinosaur Hunter. I don't know if I might have just Turok.
But that Turok game was just kind of
yeah.
Since then, nothing. Nothing from Turok. I wouldn't mind if it got a new game, but I'd like for them to go back to the original storyline.
Yeah, as long as it stays where it's not too convoluted, you know what I mean?
Well, there was a game on 360 called Prey that reminded me a lot of Turok, a whole lot of Turok. But you've got the comics. I've got a lot of the comics.
Yeah, I would like, and this is kind of related, but kind of not. I would like a remaster for sure, or a sequel to. Oh gosh, I just forgot the name of it.
Sly Cooper.
No, Dino Crisis.
Oh yeah,
for PlayStation.
That's a good episode right there. Is well, I think we've actually talked about.
I think
that
we have
before.
to.
Never mind. Sorry about that.
But
Dino Crisis wouldn't be bad.
No, again, you start getting into some of the disc games like that. We've looked at doing some for future episodes that the games are well over $100, and then on top of that, you have to really worry about scratches and things at that point. The cartridge, not so much. Now, cartridges don't work sometimes, and I get that, but there's a very, very high chance that the disc to some of these, especially these original PlayStation disc with the black glossy back on the back of it, are too scratched up to be recognized. I had a panic attack the other day because May said he wanted to play NCAA football, so I put it in, and it fired up, and I got to the loading screen, and then I got the error message.
No.
And it turned out it was just dirty, thankfully.
That's one of the arguments now about games preservation. It seems to be there's two camps coming into that. There's one camp is it needs to be physical, and there's the other camp that's like it needs to be digital. And while the physical's understandable, like you just said, the physical wears out after a while.
Yeah.
Plus, you've got to have the console to play it on.
Right.
So stuff like Game Pass, how it's bringing back a lot of older games for the original Xbox. I think that's great. It's just, I realize the fear of that is, if it's digital, they could take it away at any point. If it's
unless you buy
a subscription.
Unless you buy it.
Yeah, you can buy it. That's another thing I don't think they say enough about Game Pass is you get huge discounts on the game if you want to buy it.
Right.
Like they'll tell you in advance.
Kind of like the Xbox game with gold. Like you can, when you get that game through Xbox, through Game. Now, granted, some of them are really, really poo-poo titles. Don't get me wrong. But every so often you'll get a diamond in the rough or one that's actually pretty popular. But if you download that game when they give it to you free, it's yours.
Yeah.
It's
back in the day they didn't do that.
No, they didn't.
I downloaded Assassin's Creed 2 when it was a game with gold. Beat it, uninstalled it, went back to play it again, and you got to buy it.
Oh wow.
They've since changed that, but with the Game Pass, you do, they'll give you warning in advance, like, hey,
90 days this will be going away.
Yeah.
30 days this will be going away.
So you got time to get it. If you
it's almost like Netflix. It's a Netflix model because Netflix will do the same thing. There'll be a movie that's out, and then they'll come back and say, okay, this is going to go away at August 1st. So you got a month to watch it or 3 weeks to watch it or whatever.
But yeah, no. The disc games are, what was it we were looking at? Silent Hill 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about reviewing that, and that it does not exist in digital format.
Not at all. And
it was like, it's like 150.
Well, here's the thing.
Because we were talking about, it's like, should we get this? Or not? You know what? I think I'll just wait.
Well, is waiting the best thing to do? Because the way these things are increasing in value, I don't know.
Well, surely at some point, if the demand's high enough, well, we are.
They're not making new ones.
Yeah, we are talking about Konami, so never mind.
Well, and here's the thing too. I've been looking strictly for this on PlayStation, and I might need to upgrade.
There's a version on 360 of Silent Hill 2 that I've heard is terrible.
Garbage. Yeah, I'm scared to get it.
Yeah, so I would rather have the original version. It's kind of like.
But isn't the original version also on Xbox as well?
I don't think so. If it was, we would probably have it.
That's true. Well, I don't know. It's still Konami.
Because I looked into it pretty deep. That's like with Symphony of the Night. There's different versions of it. But,
Yeah.
but the version that you and I are both playing is the good version.
Okay. Did we just
little foreshadowing?
Yeah.
There.
Did we just foreshadow some stuff coming up?
Anyway, anywho, yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yes, absolutely. Again, thank you to Charles for last week filling in for Hammy.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
For a great episode. Again, we'll have to have Charles back sometime soon, and we've got something special lined up for next week. We're not going to get into it right here on this episode, but look for it coming the very next week, and then of course we've got more content coming for the rest of the season as well. So, thanks for joining us for episode 3, and we will see you again. Thanks.